So let's go find a bear. Okay, just try the door.
Yeah.
Rather you than me,
Oh.
pal.
We're allowed to go
okay.
in? I didn't think that. What?
We just bullshitted our way in,
whoa,
basically.
he's been
Whoa, what's
beaten
happened
up.
to his head?
Now who is this guy?
I have no idea.
Marquet? Yes. I am Marquet. I've been
dying?
expecting...
I don't know, but his mouth's
You
moving
have?
far too fast for saying that.
What are you waiting for?
Oh, he thinks he's going to be killed.
It
Does he know
always-
something?
Maybe.
I just want to know what I should do with the gem.
The Lahmar gem.
Yeah, right here in my pocket.
I thought you were one of the assassins.
Not me. I never inhaled.
So, you were sent in my place?
Yeah. You could hardly make the trip to Ireland in your condition. What should I
But
do
who?
with
Who
the
is
gem?
this guy? I've
Deliver
forgotten.
it to the Grandmaster.
The Templar Grandmaster, I guess.
Him that I have found the tripod
He found it. It's just in a museum.
right here in Paris.
You have it?
Not yet, but it's being taken care of. I hired a couple of stooges with a flair for petty crime.
Would that be Flap and Guido by any chance?
You know them?
We've met. What about the Hashashin?
Is more likely
Clown.
to have followed Klausner. He'll stop at nothing to
Is that the
prevent
broken sword?
the reforging of the sword.
And that's bad, is it?
As for Klausner,
I guess we got to go to Syria now.
he is gone off to Syria
Music's so loud.
on a wild goose chase.
They have geese in Syria?
Ooh.
As a theory about the location of
That's enough excitement for one day, Monsieur Marquet. What are you doing here?
Who's
Talking
that?
to this patient, of course.
The other guy with the
Monsieur
white
Marquet
stance.
is my patient.
I don't think it
Herr
is.
Hagenmeier was to hear that.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going. I'd learned all I could from Marquet anyhow.
So Marquet was a baddie. Is a baddie.
I don't know.
He is, because he hired the two stooges.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
he
there
said.
you are, sir. I was just coming to look for
God, we
you.
have to get rid of him
I
now.
finished with your pressure gauge.
Oh, we get to keep it. That's cool.
Thanks, Bunny.
What's that noise? It sounds as if someone's having a cardiac arrest.
Is that doctor killing him?
It's all right. The doctor's in there with him.
I bet you it's not a proper doctor. It looks like a
Yeah.
fun game. Why are we seeing
Are you
that?
sure he was a doctor?
Oui, monsieur. He showed me his ID.
Dr.
It was
Braille.
Dr. Braille.
There's no Dr. Braille working here.
There's no
He's an
Dr. Stobart
imposter.
either.
Yeah.
The door's locked. Help me, officer.
Oh no.
Stand back,
Oh
monsieur.
no, he's dead.
Was it the bear? Why did he let us run in first? He's the one with the gun.
We're an imposter too. Jumped out of the window.
Yes.
I found Jacques Marquet.
Did he talk?
Yeah, he talked. For the very last time.
He's dead.
Yeah, killed in cold blood by a bogus doctor.
That's despicable. What kind of guy would pass himself off as a doctor and take advantage of a dying man? Was it Khan?
No, I don't know who he was, but it certainly wasn't Khan. He got away, out the window.
Yeah, is that the guy?
Yeah, I guess so.
Can you think of any use for this?
That's a thing for measuring blood pressure, isn't it? What are you doing with that?
I picked it up in the hospital. It could be useful.
You ought to take it back. Don't you feel guilty?
No. Have you ever heard of the Hashiashin?
No.
Marquet said that they were his biggest enemy.
His biggest enemy was the bogus doctor.
Don't remind me. That guy was evil. He had wild, staring eyes like a dead fish. I'll never trust a doctor again.
It wasn't Hashiashin.
it was
It was Ashashin.
Do you think the assassin was responsible for killing Marquet?
I don't think so. He could have finished him off the first time. Besides, Marquet would have recognized him.
He was pumped to the gills with sedatives. He wouldn't have recognized the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse unless they'd introduced themselves.
Have a look at the map? Not the map,
No,
the
no, not
manuscript.
again.
Why not?
Because there's going to be nothing new in it. It's exactly the same.
Might be.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. That's the gem that Pegram found in
It's
Lochmar.
nothing new.
That's the tripod.
Fine. Thought there might be a sword on there or something.
I guess I'd better go back and talk to that weirdo.
What weirdo?
Which one? Rousseau or Sergeant Mou? Oh.
Andre Labinon.
I'll let you work it out.
Oh.
So we got a
why
bunch of
didn't-
weirdos
why
to
didn't
talk
tell
to.
us? I
And
guess
we
we
still
go
have
to
a sewer to go
either
down.
go to the museum or the police station, I guess. Then.
The police station? Because some guy just got murdered?
No, because they gave us 3 names, right? Of like weirdos that
Yeah.
we could possibly be talking to, and Moo and Rosso are at the police station.
Yeah, so that's why I just said, should we go to the police station? Because the guy just got murdered.
I wonder what Mount Vasson was, but it's that place, isn't it? Yeah, let's go to the police station. Report a crime. Do you think he's dealt with those thugs yet?
Not very efficient over here.
Excuse me.
Graffiti on the desk. Does that say merde?
Yeah, looks like it.
Have you ever heard of the Hashashin, Sergeant?
What was that?
The cult of the assassins.
What are you trying to say, Stobart?
That the clown is a member of that cult.
I see. And what proofs do you have?
None.
Proof? I arrived at my conclusion through logical deduction and...
Pseudo-intellectual people. Leave the investigation of crime to those who know best. The police.
We'll ask Rosso about it.
Is
'cause
Rosso here?
He might know.
Yes,
It's
he
so
is.
long for
You
him
wish
to
to
get
speak to
there.
him?
Yes, I
Thumbs
do.
up.
One moment, monsieur. It's Stobart, monsieur. He insists on talking to you again.
Just finish up my
Thank you,
notes.
What now, monsieur?
Oh,
No. So long, Inspector.
I'd be annoyed.
that must be so annoying. Yeah,
Okay, so go to the museum.
yeah, I guess so.
We've also got the drain we need to get into.
Yeah, but that guy might be the thing might be getting stolen at the museum, mightn't it?
Oh, no. Yeah, because it's been dealt with, is what
Yeah.
they said.
Like, was it Guido and
Weasel and Bear. No.
Musi Kroon?
We're just like hovering over everything.
No, it was Guido and
Bill.
I don't know.
What was that?
That's his name.
Guido and...
Yeah.
You have left it very late, monsieur.
Late for what?
Anything?
Ah.
I am closing the museum soon. You wouldn't like to get
Yes, I
locked
would.
in. I
Oh,
can tell you.
yeah, especially if
Not
we
in this
sit in the
Why not?
It is
the
on
sarcophagus.
You don't believe in ghosts, surely.
Somehow.
Oh, yes, I do. 7 years ago, a lad managed to hide in here.
A
He
lad.
made a bet with his friends, I suppose.
It's not very French
When
word,
I
is it?
found him in the morning, he was cold as ice and stiff as a bud.
Well, what was the cause of death?
They said it was a brain tumor. But on his face was a look of stark, desperate terror such as I have never seen before.
Scary.
What's that?
Broken pot.
What can you tell me about the collection of pottery?
Those are remains of pots used by
Why are we
the
asking
original
about that?
inhabitants
Yeah.
of
Did
Paris.
we have that
The
opportunity
Paris
before?
No.
pot people.
When did they move out?
15,000 years ago, monsieur. Vanished in the mists of time. Didn't even have time to pack up their pots.
I thought the original inhabitants of Paris were a tribe known as the Parisi.
That is right, monsieur. Renowned for their pots. You see, in those days, people didn't have much in the way of possessions. A few flints, some animal skins, maybe the odd bone or two. Naturally, when the Parisi came along with their pots, why, everybody wanted one.
I guess they must have caused a kind of consumer frenzy.
Yeah, oui,
Why do we
they
need to know
colored the
this?
market, cleaned up.
Ask about pots
You don't know the
again?
first thing about those pots, do you?
No, monsieur.
Okay.
That was odd.
Can you give me any further information
We've
about the
asked this
tripod?
already.
Certainly, monsieur. It's infamous. That tripod, that belonged to John Dee.
Who's John D?
What's the importance of John Dee's tripod?
Dee was the most famous escapologist of the 16th century. The Houdini of his time.
Don't you mean alchemist? Escapologists use ropes, chains, and handcuffs, not tripods.
Well, whatever he was, that is the tripod he used in his experiment.
This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
What kind of experiments did John Dee perform with his tripod?
Oh, the usual. Didn't you study chemistry at school?
Yeah, but we skipped over thaumatology. Can I take a closer look at the tripod?
What? Get it out of the case? Ah, no! That tripod is protected by a sophisticated surveillance system.
How sophisticated?
A painfully loud alarm bell.
Ew.
How is the alarm bell triggered?
By the slightest pressure on or movement of any part of the case wherein that tripod is situated.
You have to swap it for some pottery.
It strikes
Indiana
me that to
Jones
call
style.
your alarm system sophisticated is, well, stretching the truth a little.
It has never failed yet. The sophistication is in its simplicity.
Yeah, talk about that.
Does this apparatus mean anything to
I want
you?
to talk about a
No.
Templar.
Monsieur.
Yeah, but we might have to. I know you don't want to.
The sign on the tripod says it was found at a Templar preceptory.
You know,
It does.
Yeah. It doesn't mention John Dee at all.
Most remiss.
You don't know anything about the tripod, do you?
No, I don't. I never had much of a start in life, you see. I owe what little education I gained to my uncle. He was an optician, but he also doubled as the village
Why
school
do we need
teacher.
to know this?
He taught me the alphabet. Wait, 19 letters of it. The bottom row of the chart was too small even for him to read, so he left them out.
Why don't you start over and enroll for adult education?
You know, I never thought of that. Do you think if I studied hard and did all my homework, I could be a professor of history?
At your age? Dream on.
Oh, that's so mean.
Thanks
Okay.
for your help.
You think we can cut a hole through? We can't do
Yeah,
anything.
good idea.
We can't do anything. Okay,
Okay.
so there's the window.
Yeah.
I don't remember how you... That.
Should we talk to him?
I'm sick and tired of talking.
Yeah.
I just want to do things.
Hi, Andre.
He'll just be perving.
Hello,
on the phone.
Georgie.
Probably knows all about the nurse at the hospital.
I think you ought to know that the tripod is going to be stolen.
The Lochman tripod? No.
It's true. I can give you a description of the thieves.
Before the supposed event has taken place,
I heard them planning the raid.
they're wasting their time. The tripod is protected by a state-of-the-art alarm system.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you. Why don't you loan the tripod to me for safekeeping?
Because I'd never see it again.
Well, don't you trust me?
It's not a question of trust, George. That tripod is hundreds of years old and extremely fragile.
I get your point.
Who's that?
What can you tell me about Philippe le Bel?
He was responsible for the extermination of the Knights Templar.
I know that, but why was Philip so hot to get rid of them?
Mostly because he wanted to get his hands on their treasure. He had an enormous debt and a lifelong war with England to fund. The trouble was, the Templars were a highly respected holy order.
If the Templars were so powerful, how did this Philippe dude wipe them out?
By underhanded, dishonorable means, of course. The Pope was Clement V, a Frenchman.
French, huh? Handy for Philippe.
Fate had nothing to do with it. He was Philippe's puppet, planted to further his political ambitions. Philippe wanted the wealth of the Templars and used Clement to get it.
So what was Philippe's plan? What happened?
Sealed orders were sent out all over France, not to be opened until the appointed day. That day was Friday, July 13th. That's the origin of our superstition regarding that date. At dawn, throughout the whole of France, the Templars were arrested. It was the biggest bust in the history of the world.
What happened to the Templars after their
More
arrest?
history.
Philippe was out for blood, so he handed the Templars over to the Inquisition. Not surprisingly, they confessed to a sensational and sordid list of blasphemies.
Like what?
Oh, the sort of things you read about in the gutter press. Devil worship, lewd sexual practices, spitting on the Holy Cross, that kind of thing.
Well, that must have given their lawyers some headaches.
Whether or not the accusations were true, this was not good publicity. Most of the charges were probably cooked up, but so were the Templars. Literally.
What?
That's so
Hundreds of
funny.
them were
They
found
got
guilty of
burned.
heresy and flamed grilled at the stake. They died protesting their innocence.
But surely Philippe had no proof of his charges against the Templars.
A man will admit anything under torture. The Inquisition fabricated some nonsensical demon called Baphomet, and then suggested to their victims that this was what they worshipped.
But they didn't have to agree.
The records show a Templar coming to trial with both feet burnt off. Fragments of flesh and charred bone falling from the stumps. What would you not admit to stop such torment?
So there was no truth at all in the Baphomet accusations?
Not a shred. Almost every victim described the idol differently. No, Baphomet never existed outside the sick minds of the Inquisitors.
More about Philip.
So Philippe stole the Templars' riches, huh?
Oh no, they weren't stupid. The king's troops marched first on the temple in Paris, then to the Templar home port at La Rochelle. There was no trace of the treasure, and the fleet of the Knights Templar had set sail.
What?
So what are the treasures hidden?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Hashashin?
Why yes, it was a radical Muslim sect whose name became synonymous with murder. It was
Why is
formed
it
in
red
11th
around its
century
eyes?
Persia,
Yeah, it's
shortly
weird.
before the Crusades.
At roughly the same time as the Templars.
Yes, they gave a new word to our language, Assassini, the assassins.
How did the assassins get their name?
From the legends surrounding the secrets of their initiation rites. A young man who sought to join the sect was given hashish until he drifted into dreams. He awoke to find himself in a fabulous garden with everything he could wish for. The freshest water, the most delicious food, the choicest hash, and the most delectable women imaginable.
Cool. Do you have the address?
I haven't finished the story. There was a price to pay for this taste of paradise.
Wouldn't you just know it?
The young man would wake the next day to find himself back in the real world. He was told that he'd been given a glimpse of the heaven reserved for holy martyrs. A heaven he would enjoy for eternity if he was willing to join the Hashashin.
How did the assassins operate?
Well, as I explained, the new recruits would be only too willing to die for the cause. They'd be instructed in the use of the dagger, poisons, and disguise.
He's dressing as clowns,
The
penguins,
Grand
and
Master of the sect would name an enemy of Allah.
And they'd stop at nothing to eliminate that enemy.
You got it. They were fearless and deadly.
Does the cult of the assassin still exist?
Take a look around at the world today. You tell me.
yes.
Do you have any use for this, Andre?
Shouldn't think so, Georgie.
Okay, so
We've been talking
Thanks
to
for
him
your
for like
help,
20
Andre.
minutes.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I think we need to get trapped in here. We can push this around. Oh no, we could push it
we
around.
could before, and we can still do stuff with that.
He's gonna tell us to get away from it, probably.
Just throw the pressure gauge in his face. Oh,
No, you could do that before.
already?
Don't even think of climbing in there, monsieur. You'll be suffocated.
Doesn't mean you
I
have to
always
close
wondered
it.
how it felt to be a mummy. The totem pole looked distinctly out of place in the setting of the museum.
Why
can
could we
open that
push it
window,
around?
can't
That
we?
is so strange. I think that's all that we can do.
Can you not open the window anymore?
Yeah. But I think that's all we can do. The window and that.
No.
I think it's like the goat puzzle.
And maybe he goes to shut the window.
Attention! Please do not open the window, monsieur.
Don't you think it's kind of stuffy in here?
Better stuffy than dead.
What's the problem? Fumes from car exhausts?
Not just that, monsieur. There's a new burger
Ooh,
bar
can we go
opened
there?
up across the street. The Laughing Buffalo.
So what's the problem?
They cook their burgers on a charcoal grill, and the fat falls on the open flame. The amount of organic compound and smoke particles released is astounding.
This man's crazy.
Since they open, local air pollution has doubled.
The door is wide
and it
open.
stinks like a funeral pyre. That is why I keep the windows closed.
But the door open. So do you think we can somehow open that window, and then when he's like going to
Don't
shut
open
it, you get in the coffin?
Yeah, but how do we open it before? Does he have to be doing something? I can't see him.
Don't open.
Yeah, how did we open it before?
Just watch his movements. There we go.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Run! There we go. Oh, okay.
Do you think we will suffocate?
Oh, we should have saved.
It is closing time, Monsieur Lobino.
Already, there just aren't enough hours in the day.
I was
More
thinking
than enough for me.
Guido and whatever his
I
name
can't
comes.
wait to get
Greedo.
home and put my feet up.
Eh bien, see you tomorrow.
Good night, Monsieur.
So Lobino just spends all day staring at those pots. That's his job.
Whoa.
Ooh. It's in a
Wait,
different angle. Is
The
it?
door's over there, yeah. Are we
Oh,
gonna see them
cartoon.
come in? Oh! His face.
He's really shocked.
There's really white teeth. Oh no. We're gonna get blamed for it.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, torch.
Hey, Guido! Look at this!
Quit fooling around, you moron. Get your ass over here and bring that
Can we
flashlight.
pretend to be a ghost?
Yeah.
That might scare them away.
Oh, we can do things. I'm scared. Can I save it?
Yeah, save it.
Everyone's gonna see the name, so I'll save games now.
Just museum. Okay. Don't talk.
Let's do this then.
Yeah.
Oh, Guido!
What's the big idea, you dummy? Shine the light down here.
The mummy! It's come alive!
If that's a mommy, I'm glad I'm an orphan.
Oh,
That's a good thing we saved. No, this goes right back to it, doesn't it?
yeah.
I think.
Sometime later they just dump our body.
Oh no, you have
Restore?
to restore.
Okay.
What?
No, it's just
Oh.
like, I was trying to think of what to do. So we can't move over there. What have we got?
I
We
didn't
got-
click it.
Oh, Guido!
What's the big...
I didn't click anything. Maybe it's like in time you have to.
We were standing there for ages before.
I'm glad...
Maybe I clicked by mistake. Ugh.